Why? I
Got it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why don't you record? Okay, so this is my thoughts. I want to compare this to, there was an algorithm like this, but for arrays. So I think it's worth talking about that really quickly. I had some test data that I was using. I think I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and then 7, I think. And then I also had 1, 1, 2, 5, 8, right? So these are both sorted arrays. And if we wanted to merge them into one sorted array, we should end up with 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's kind of big. And there's kind of two ways to do this, right? There is, if you wanted to, you could just go with the one move of making a new array, in which case maybe what you might want to do to make that work is have 2 pointers and decide like which one to pick. So you make some comparisons and then decide, okay, well, we're only going to add 1. So, let's make a comparison. If they're the same, then you just got to pick one and move along. So maybe for this case, we'd say, okay, well, let's add 1. So move that over. Okay, so now make a comparison. 2 versus 1. Let's add 1. Okay, now let's make a comparison. 2 versus 1. Let's add 1. Now 2 versus 2. Which one do we add? Okay, let's add 2. All right, now 3 versus 2. Which one do we add? 2. Okay, now 3 versus 5. Which one do we add? 3. 4 versus 5. We should add 4. 5 versus 6. We should add 5. 6 versus 8. We should add 6. 7 versus 8. We should add 7. And then blank versus 8. We should add 8, right? So that's one way to do it, by making a copy. And that's probably going to be the easiest way to go about it, but less efficient, because now you need to make an entire copy of all the data. But since this is a singly linked list, it's a little bit different, right? The other alternative for doing arrays is putting things in place. And it's a little more annoying to do in an array. Probably a lot more annoying to do in a singly linked list here, but let's see if we can run through this really quickly. So my thoughts are, let's see, let's get a few items in here. Let's get maybe like 4 items in here and then a few in here. So maybe we'll have, let's see, like 1, 1, and then we'll have like 2 and 3, 3, I don't know, 5. And then, nah, I don't know. I want to make wilder looking data. 5, 6. Okay, cool. And with our singly linked list, we have this here. Oh, I got 2 minutes until I need to be in a meeting. This is great. Everybody with me so far?
Speed running the explanation.
List. Yeah. Okay. So my thought was, yes, we would probably also need to have 2 runners, just like for 2 arrays, we would have 2 iterators. So maybe we could have, here's a runner and here's a runner. Probably give them different names so that, maybe we'll call this one left. So L for left and then R for right, but they're both runners, right? So we would need to make comparisons and then decide how we want to change these. So my idea was a little half-baked. I started building it out and then realized that I needed to make some adjustments with it, but I was trying to just put things down and get it going really quickly. So it didn't quite work out, but this is generally the idea I was building towards. Was we still make the comparisons. We say, well, which one's greater? In this case, it kind of doesn't really matter. So maybe we just say, okay, maybe we assume that the left one is smaller or something. It doesn't really matter. So we actually change the arrows a little bit, and we say, well, now this is going to point to that. And we take that and we say, all right, okay, so the left one points over there. And then we move on. I guess before we even move that arrow, we probably want to hold on to it, maybe with like a temp or something for the next. Say, okay, so here's that. let's point the next right on over here. Cool. And then we need to make our next comparison. After moving our L over here because we needed a reference to it. Cool. So we pointed our L on over, and then we need to make some more comparisons. Now we need to see 1 versus 2, right? So, okay, well, what do we do with 1 versus 2? Well, 1 is smaller, so we're going to want to make sure the 1 points over to the 2. So before we do that, we make a little temp right there, point this on over here and say, okay, well, that's where that is. Let's move the R right on over here. Great, that's good. And then keep making these comparisons, right? So now we're at 2 versus 3. What do we do? Well, pretty clear here. We need this here. Point the 2 over to the 3, and then make some more moves. Move this right on over. Make another comparison. 3 versus 3. Okay, well, doesn't really matter quite what we do. I mean, we can point that bottom 3 up, or we can put the other 3 down. It doesn't make that much of a difference. We could do this, that's fine. Put a temp right there. Move this arrow right on. I guess that's a little wonky. I guess we'd want to maintain the same structure. Yeah, so I guess this is where my idea is starting to be like, it needs some work, but generally this is what I'm going for, is this staggered approach of changing these arrows around. This is probably what I would say is the correct answer. Like if you did this in an interview, this would probably be the one that like they're looking for, is doing this. The interviewer will be looking for this answer. So we're essentially just making some big zigzag around to make sure that this works. But yeah, that's kind of my idea in a nutshell.
Cool. Well,
Okay.
thank you for that.
Yeah,
hopefully
definitely. helps
that.
a lot.
Yeah, hopefully that gives some proper context, but you might need to draw things out a little more. So I'd recommend before you just start like writing down code and stuff, like this is one that definitely needs to be drawn out quite a bit, I think. So I'd make sure you're doing that.
Yeah, thanks,
Cool.
Mike.
Yeah,
Thanks.
of course.
Thanks for your
Yeah.
input.
I gotta, yes, I
We'll
gotta
see
go
you
to a
after-
meeting,
yeah.
so I'll talk to you guys
Have fun,
later.
have fun at your meeting.
All right. See ya.
Thank you.
Okay, Matt, you can stop recording now.